Hello Factorio engineers, welcome to my Factorio Overhaul Madness series. After completing Pioneers, I decided to start a new series where I tackle as many overhaul mods as possible. I named this series Overhaul Madness because nearly 90% of my Factorio playtime has been spent on overhaul runs, so I think the name fits perfectly. I'm starting the series with Krastorio 2, and I will continue with Angels and Bobs. I have plenty of overhaul mods already lined up and I will be adding them one by one. I chose to start with Krastorio 2 because it was my first overhaul experience and I think it's the best next step if you have already launched your first rocket in the base game or reached the solar system's edge in space age. In this series, I will show the entire base development from the very beginning all the way to final victory, keeping things as simple as possible and avoiding complex systems. You can also find the high-resolution base view in the description if you want to explore the factory yourself. Before we start, let's quickly go over all the mods I used in this run. Even though I had terrain-related mods enabled, I didn't use them at all since I never built any terrains in this playthrough. There are many useful mods that could be used, but I prefer to play with these only. Unlike the base game, we have a few buildings we can use here. We will do our first research using the spaceship research computer. In addition, we have 4 spaceship material fabricators which function as assemblers and 1 power source. Of course, its capacity is quite low, but it's better than nothing. My starter base will stay in this area until the local ore pads are depleted. After that, I will move to another location with richer resources. I set up my first miners like this. I'm manually supplying fuel for now. In this mod, you need to select a recipe for furnaces too, and sometimes I forget that. I'm also hand feeding the materials needed for the first tech cards. As for labs, I'm using the spaceship research computer for the first research and I will build proper labs soon. 2 steam engines are enough at the moment, but this place is going to get much more crowded. I started crafting some of the items I will need to expand the base. I'm gradually increasing the number of labs. Glass isn't required yet, but I'm stockpiling it for later use. I increased iron plate production a little, but I haven't switched to electric mining drills yet. By the way, with the even distribution mod, you can evenly insert fuel into buildings like you see here. It's a very useful mod, especially in the early game. There is a biter nest nearby. I will clear it out whenever I get the chance. The base is growing, so I needed to add more steam engines to keep up with power demand. Tech cards for the labs are now fully automated and working smoothly. I also started using electric mining drills and I will add more to cover the entire ore patch. And I did it. This area will only sustain me for a short time. I placed more labs and constantly need to add more steam engines. Current power consumption is around 12 megawatts. I will need to explore the map and clear out biter nests near the pollution cloud. Since I don't have a strong defense system, I need to act before they start attacking. The ore pads are starting to deplete, but production is still sufficient. I increased the number of labs and steam engines further. I also cleared nearby biters before the pollution cloud reached them. I placed pump jacks here to start crude oil production. I expanded the crude oil area a bit more. I also connected petroleum gas to the base and started using it for plastic and sulfur production. Sulfur is needed to make sulfuric acid, which is required for chemical tech cards. Labs are still running smoothly, but this won't last much longer. Here is how the current tech tree looks. Ore production is no longer sufficient, so I decided it was time for a new base. I explored the map a bit and chose this location. It will take a few hours before it becomes fully productive, but eventually I will dismantle the starter base entirely and produce everything here. The starter base is still holding up, but my focus has now shifted to the new base. I'm trying to build it in a much organized way. Tech card production will run at this level, and I'm slowly expanding the rest of the base. At the 8-hour mark, I unlocked the jetpack, which makes movement much easier. The jetpack is one of my favorite mods in the game. I have started relocating the starter base. I'm continuing to expand the new base. The chemical tech card production rate will be same as previous tech cards. I haven't built the labs yet, but everything is basically ready. I also started mining rare earth ore. Chlorine is required for the mining process, which I'm bringing from the crude oil area. After 1 hour, I completely dismantled the starter base. The steam engines will stay until the coal patch is fully depleted. The remaining iron and stone will be mined later. Oxygen is produced using atmospheric condensers, and I'm using it for rocket fuel. Pollution levels are still acceptable. Since I'm clearing biters regularly, there haven't been any issues so far. I upgraded the labs to advanced labs. I'm also now producing utility tech cards. Rocket fuel is currently insufficient, but I will fix that soon. I started using logistic bots and requester chests. I built a small mall with essential items and buildings, and I will expand it over time. I also built a new mining facility for iron because the previous one was no longer enough. I updated the rocket fuel production and it's enough for now. Let's take a quick tour of the base. All tech cards are produced in sufficient quantities and labs are running continuously. The only issue is military tech cards because they require biomass which can only be obtained from biter nests. At least for now. Later I will show you another way to produce it. I also started uranium production and will update this area. This is how it looks like after the update. I'm using the Covarex enrichment process to produce uranium-235. Production is slow, but I will increase it soon. I set up an inserter that only activates when the total uranium-235 on the belt exceeds 200. Excess petroleum gas is being used for power production. Mining of immersite ore has also started, which will be heavily used in late game. Mineral water is extracted using pump jacks, just like crude oil. The crude oil zone was also reorganized to increase the output and improve its layout. I started using immersite crystals. Production tech cards are being made here. I built a rocket silo for space science packs. These are the requirements for crafting a satellite. We are approaching the end game, and I'm starting to struggle with producing high-tech items. I upgraded labs to singularity labs, which are required for the highest tier research. Since I haven't finished all the lower tier technologies yet, I am keeping the older labs running as well. Singularity labs consume a lot of power, but my power production has increased significantly, so it isn't causing any problems. I'm now using nuclear reactors for power production. I also place artillery turrets at several points around the base and fire at biters whenever I feel like it. I expanded the Covarex enrichment setup further, and Uranium-235 has built up nicely. I started mining another iron patch. I'm currently researching Spider-Tron technology, which will help deal with the biters. I am now using Matter for biomass, and I set it to activate when biomass drops below 250. Excess Uranium-238 is used for Matter production. I crafted my first Spider-Tron and filled its equipment crate. It's ready for combat, but I will wait until I have 3 of them. I expanded my copper production because the demand for copper cables has increased significantly, so I needed additional sources. Each assembly requires 10 copper cables per second, so it's barely enough. I now have 2 Spider-Trons and also crafted a tank. It has a very large equipment grid, and I will test its weapons at the end. I set some limits here, so production doesn't get clogged up. Heavy water is required for DT fuel cells. These fuel cells are used for nuclear fusion. The fusion reactor produces 2000 steam per second, enough for 20 advanced steam turbines, resulting in 2 gigawatts of power. The old power production site is still running alongside the new one. I have just crafted the third Spidertron. Let's go visit the biters and see if we survive. Pollution has spread significantly, but I keep the Spidertrons moving around, clearing out biters before they attack. They eliminate everything in their way and return to the base. I crafted the intergalactic transceiver to complete the game, but there was a small problem. It requires 60 gigawatts of power to charge, and I only had 3 gigawatts. At first, I tried to slowly charge it with 3 gigawatts, but I quickly realized that wasn't possible. The easiest way to reach that level was to build 20 antimatter reactors. About 90 minutes later, I finished building all the required antimatter reactors. Once they are filled, we are ready. It took 8 minutes to charge fully, and we are ready to activate the intergalactic transceiver to complete the game. I didn't expect such a massive explosion for the first time I completed this mod. I repaired everything and the area looks much cleaner now. I completed most of the tech tree, but honestly, achieving this at this stage doesn't seem very reasonable. Pollution has spread a lot, but I had no issues the entire run. Remote radar stations kept the map revealed. After activation, we now have a stable 600 gigawatts of power production. Let's take a quick look at the final base, the production charts and the milestones, then I will test the tank. Finally, the tank. We have 5 weapons, and these are a heavy machine gun, an impulse cannon, 2 fast railguns, and 1 sniper railgun. I will try all of them in a minute, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting the impulse cannon to be so powerful. I almost completely filled this massive equipment grid. These personal laser defenses will drain the batteries quickly, but they should be enough to handle a few groups of biters. Let's go. That's all for now. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.